It is a cozy Saturday morning, and it also just happens to be the last day of the month of February, and I just finished doing a little bit of a review of things that happened in my business and in my life in the past month. Let me first get my coffee made, and then we're gonna go into the office and sit down, and I will review and share with you all of the things. Okay, awesome. Let's do this. Delicious. I've got everything I want to touch on here on my iPad. I'm going to give you the behind the scenes look into all the things of what it's like to run a business, what it's like to kind of be bouncing back and forth between different countries, visiting family and things like that. To start it out, I was out of town technically the first full week of the month. I was in the US with my family up until the 10th. So I was working from there until then, and then I had a couple days to where obviously I was traveling, was jet lagged, had to get readjusted back to things. So I truly only had 2 full weeks of working back here in Germany. If you are curious for how I do my time blocking, I have another video on that I'll make sure I'll share below with you, because I definitely do it in a completely different way than what you've probably seen most people do. Now, I do want to talk about business stuff first, and then I'll get into some personal things at the end. In terms of work I did with clients, this month I did create a Patreon membership for a client, so that was a lot of fun. That actually only took 2.5 hours of my time, which I want to share with you if you're someone who is thinking about doing that for your own business or for whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a big, huge task to make yourself a membership. And so with this client, she literally just wanted a free membership, a free community to where people could go to outside of Instagram for the things that she wanted to be talking about. She didn't want to talk about them on social media. She wanted to have more of a private community to where people who were interested in these topics could go to there. And so what I did was I got it set up for her. She sent me over the videos and the guides and the things that she wanted to have uploaded in there, so that way when people started joining, it wasn't just completely empty. We have a lot of resources and things in there already. So I got that uploaded for her. I got it all branded. It looks super cute. So I did that. That was a lot of fun. I also had a client who had a really big event last weekend. It was February 22nd. And so I spent a lot of my time creating content for her for that event. It was a 10-year celebration of this community that she's created in her business. And so I was going back through footage literally from the past 10 years of these different events that she's hosted, and was creating a lot of fun reels, carousels, just so much content to get that promoted. And I was so excited because I actually got to attend that event. It was a virtual event. With the time difference, I usually am not able to attend any of her events, but it was at 8 o'clock my time on a Sunday night. So that was perfect. So I had so much fun. I was creating all the content to promote it, and then I got to be there to attend and see all the magic that's made. And that was really special because this was with a client that I've worked with. This will be, I think, our 5th year now. Yeah, our 5th year working together. So that was really cool. Something else fun, repurposing wise, this is a different client, but she had a client who had an awesome transformation working with her. And so she recorded an interview that she could have on her podcast of just talking about the wins that she experienced and things working together. And she sent that to me and was like, what can I do to get this out there so people could be damn, the work that this girl does is fucking awesome. So I took that, I clipped it up into a bunch of reels of the wins and awesome things that she shared of working with my clients. So I got that clipped up into some good reels, made covers for them, wrote captions for them. That was awesome. And it's also just so cool when I get to be the person who sees all of this stuff. I get the behind the scenes of all these different things of the transformations that my clients make for their clients. And I'm holy fuck, I want to hire you because they all are just so awesome. Other than that, like I said, it really was a standard working with my retainer clients to where I am repurposing their content. I do have a full breakdown of all the numbers of all the content that I actually created. So we will get into that in a second when we talk about all the specific numbers, but I want to talk about things behind the numbers so you know what the numbers mean. Something that happened really cool for me was I got interviewed by my mentor, Esther Inman. So I joined her 90-day VA program back in 2019, and that is what like started my whole business. So I did 90-day VA with her, and then I also just this past like fall into the beginning of this year, I was in her Scale Society mastermind, and that was freaking awesome. I got to talk with her about just like what being in the 90-day program like did for me and for my business and for my life. And here I am celebrating my 6-year business anniversary, and it literally is because of that program and the fact that like I've got to grow my business with her and then join the mastermind and all these different things. So that was a really fun interview that I had a lot of like nostalgia, getting to look back on like who Anna was at the beginning of her business and like who she is now. So I guess now we're kind of talking about things that I did in my business. I actually did a lot behind the scenes, which I'm really proud of, because like I said, once we get into the numbers, you're going to see, holy shit, you created a bunch of content for your clients. How I got to do these things, I don't know. Well, here's how I did them. I'm about to tell you. I outsourced a lot of these projects. So I got the SEO of my website completely revamped, and I can't even really say revamped because I had zero SEO on it before. I worked with a freaking fabulous SEO expert that I have been like friends with online for years, and so I've been talking to her for a while to be like, I really want you to do this for me. And so finally this month I pulled the trigger, and so she just like did everything that my website needs to be for SEO. And so it'll take a couple months because for like it all to start like seeing results, because like I didn't even have my website indexed on Google or anything like that. And that is because I redid my website maybe 2023, 2024, I don't know, but like kind of recently. And the website I had before then, I did have SEO beefed up, and I was getting a lot of inquiries from Google because people were finding me for content repurposing. And then I completely redid my website and didn't do any SEO things to it. And like, I could totally tell. I used to get all these inquiries from Google, nothing's happening. I was like, okay, 2026, we are no longer like wasting any more time not doing these things that are important. And then I also in tandem, because I was like, okay, that's great that now all these people are going to be hopefully finding me on Google and SEO and all these different things. Well, I need to make sure that what's on my website like is actually good. I wanted to have my website copy done, but I just am not in a place to where I can like invest thousands and thousands of dollars to have a professional copywriter like totally do it for me. So I found this copywriter, and she does like a copy in a week kind of audit, and it was a wonderful price. I did that, and essentially what I did was I sent over to her, like I ended up putting in a Google Doc all of my website copy for my homepage, my about page, my services page. And like we completely obliterated it. Well, she did. She like gave me so much feedback. All of it is absolutely redone. And I just am so thankful that she opened my eyes to so many different things. To have that completely redone feels so good, because it has been on my list for so freaking long. But I need to actually get it updated on my website. And that's going to be something that I'm going to have to focus on in March. And we will get to that shortly after this coffee break. Now let's get into the numbers of it all. In February, I worked with 11 clients. I don't have a team member who's helping me with client work, and I signed one new client. And so that client is included in the 11 because we had our discovery call. It was the very first week of February, and we started together just right after that. So that was the one discovery call that I had for the month. And currently I have 2 proposals out for potential clients that I would start working with together in March if that goes through. I sent those out this week. Back to my calendar. I spent 2.5 hours on meetings. I had 5 meetings. In my business, I really don't have a lot of meetings. I have built my business to be totally like done for you and set it and forget it for my clients, because they are just such busy gals, which of course that like we don't need to be wasting time on meetings if we don't have to. One of those meetings was the discovery call that I had. 2 of those meetings were with like other team members on teams that I'm like on with my clients. So like it wasn't even with my client, I was connecting with another team member. And then the other 2 were actually client meetings. So if you're a business owner, I'm curious, how much time are you spending on meetings? Now, as you've seen, I do my lovely little time blocking here to where I know how much time I spent working with clients. I spent 70.8 hours working on client work, according to my calendar. And then I spent 16.3 hours doing stuff for my own business. So that would have been invoicing or doing admin or like my own content creation, whatever that may be. So add that up together, that is 87.1 hours logged as a business owner, so to say. I will say that is 100% not accurate because this was kind of a weird month to where I was traveling at the beginning of the month with my family. And so during times like that, I'm not so strict with how I'm logging my time on my calendar because like I blocked off 3 days for my travel and I did some work during that time. I had like a 5-hour layover in London. I worked during that 5-hour layover, but I wasn't like writing down on my calendar what I was doing then. I still worked a little bit that next day on Thursday, just not a whole lot. It was in like random spurts. So like I didn't log that at all. There was a lot of time this past week to where I was working really late in the evening, like after dinner, I was getting back on and doing a lot of things for my own business. And I didn't log that down at all because I think honestly I was like, I do not want to fucking look back at this and see that I was still on my computer at 11:30. But really I should do that because I think that would be important data to see. I will be curious to see like my actual logged like numbers of like what I submit to my clients because on Google Calendar, I'm not getting super specific, like down to the minute of like, oh, I started this task at 2:07. Like, no, I'm going to put 2 o'clock or 2:15. Like, it's definitely not completely exact, but I just like it to see this overall look at the end of the month and also just like how much prettier does that make my calendar to look at. Now let's get into how much content I created. And you're probably like, Anna, how do you know how much content did you create? Well, I have a tracker for that. And this is something that I have done every year in my business. I did kind of fall off of it a little bit last year, but so let's see. In total in February, I made 7 email newsletters. I wrote 12 blog posts. I made 32 reels. I made 42 feed posts. And then I wrote 52 captions. From those feed posts, that was 176 graphics. I made 3 story posts, and from those story posts, altogether, that was 21 graphics. Released 1 podcast episode, and then made 11 Pinterest pins. It's really cool to like see at the end of the year how much content has been made. And how I break it down is I've got a bucket for reels, so obviously that's a reel, and then a feed post is like a carousel post or a static post. And for some of my clients, I'm not writing their captions as well. So like I have one client where like I make all the graphics for her to put on Instagram, but she writes all the captions for herself. So I like to keep track of how much captions I've written because just because I've made a post doesn't mean that I've written the caption necessarily. And then I also just like to keep count of how many graphics are made of the feed posts because like great to say, as we can see, I made 42 feed posts, but that actually was 176 graphics. And because that's with how carousels are these days, like some posts that I'm making have 8 or 9 different slides in them. So like I want to know how much I am creating. Same with the story post. So like it was 3 story sets that I had made in the month, but that was altogether 21 graphics because I don't just make 1 story and then that's it. There's always multiple graphics to it. Just 1 podcast episode this month. So my main podcasting client that I work with, we just started back together at the end, like this past week, because they were on a season break for the past few months, but they are getting back up and running. So I'm excited for that. Now for myself and my business, I just posted to Instagram 5 times to my grid, which I'm not super happy about. That wasn't very consistent. However, that's just how things were. I did 1 reel and then the rest were all carousels. And since they were all carousels too, like they definitely took me a bit more time to put together because they were very like design heavy. But I also recorded, I'm gonna count this one too, I recorded 2 long form videos. So I recorded 1 video last week and then this one as well. So I'm excited for that. Even though I didn't show up on my feed so many times to Instagram, I did show up very consistently on my stories. I showed up over 10 days on my story, and that was actually like me on the camera speaking on my stories. Okay, now this last section is going to be everything that I want to do moving forward in March and what I'm going to be focusing on. I need to implement some of these systems that I put together in my business in February. Firstly being all the copy that I rewrote for my website. I need to get that onto my website and get that updated. Why I haven't done that yet is because I know that 100% is going to become a big thing for me, because for a lot of the copy that we did, I'm going to need to like restructure how my website is. So I need to make sure that I have proper time to do that, because I don't want to have like a page up on my website that's like, oh, we're under construction right now. I don't want to do that. I want to get it done and get it out there. With the whole SEO revamp that I did, I have a lot that I want to go back and update of like old blog posts that I did. I need to make a separate blog on my website, and I have a long list of blog posts that the lovely SEO gal that I partnered with gave me of ideas that I can blog on for like SEO keywords. So there's a lot of things with my website that I need to figure out. And with that, I want to keep focusing on long form content for myself. I'm going to be celebrating in March my 6-year business anniversary, and I'm so excited for that. And then that is actually going to be the next video that I'm planning to film, going all into that, because I just cannot believe 6 years. Holy cow. Yeah, so that is going to be coming up on March 3rd. It's going to be this Tuesday. And last year, because it was 5 years, I did a really fun business anniversary photo shoot here in my office. So I want to create that this year. I'm going to make some cupcakes. I am going to get some balloons, do a bunch of cute, fun things. I don't have an outfit picked out yet, so that I need to figure out. But yeah, I'm really excited to celebrate 6 years. And I also just love my business birthday date, like 3/3. I love that. I think that is a great place to end it for all of my business recap of things. Now let's get into personal Anna, things that happened in February. I did a lot of fun things with my family, and I also attended a really cool Galentine's event. That was a lot of fun in Kentucky that I went to. And then since I have come back to Germany, like, you are pretty jet lagged, pretty tired. So I honestly haven't done a lot this month social-wise, and I am a little bit disappointed in the sense that I came back in time for Carnival to celebrate that here in Cologne, because it is a huge deal here. But I did not end up going out for Carnival. I had plans that ended up falling through, which is fine because I was super jet lagged and tired anyway. I was kind of like going to be forcing myself to go out. So instead, I just stayed here and got caught back up on things. Another big project that I'm working on in my personal life is a renovation with my husband. So he has a property, actually like 2 properties, but they're connected. It's like a duplex house, so to say. He has tenants that are going to be moving into there in April, like April 1st, we believe. So we are doing a lot to get that renovated. I took some days off of work last week, which I can't believe I didn't mention that when I was on my calendar. So yeah, I took 2 days off last week, which I was completely just in the house doing full renovations. And then once we get that first apartment renovated and we have those tenants move in, we want to make the bottom one an Airbnb, we believe. So once this first one is finished, then we'll be jumping right into getting that one renovated. So that is going to be just an ongoing project that's going to be happening. I love to read books, and I read 3 books this month. I used the Fabled app to log all of my books. I switched over from that like mid last year. I was using Goodreads, and then actually I got logged out of my Goodreads account, and I cannot for the life of me remember the password or anything. Like, I think I set that up years and years and years ago on like a completely different email, and I don't know how to get back into it. So now I'm just using Fabled, and I actually really like it. So I read 3 books this month. I'm at 8 so far for the year. I love that for me. The first book I read was actually a physical book, which I haven't read in a long time. I actually found this at TJ Maxx in the US, which I actually got a couple books at TJ Maxx when I was in the US. They've like gotten onto their book game, I guess, because reading is so popular these days. This was a 5-star, loved it. Such a cute like idea and story. So it's this girl who, like, on the very first page, she dies like choking on some like a cheeseburger in her apartment, something totally silly. She went to the afterlife, and the woman in the afterlife like gave her an ultimatum, kind of. I think she gives her like 2 weeks to go back to the real world. And if you get this thing accomplished, then like you can stay alive and you won't be dead anymore. So it was such like a fun, interesting, different type of concept. Really liked that. And I really liked having a physical book to read. So I think I will maybe go back to reading some physical books here and there. Now, the second book I read was, of course, Wuthering Heights. I totally jumped on the bandwagon with the movie coming out because I just heard so many people talking about it. And I didn't read this book in high school. A lot of people I've heard read this in high school. That would have totally gone over my head. I 5-starred this one as well. Really enjoyed reading it. It took me a while to get into it, to like get used to the style of writing, and I'm not gonna lie, the first half of the book I had to like read a chapter, go onto Spark Notes and like read a summary. Okay, what actually happened? What did I just read? And then I also was watching back TikTok recaps of each chapter as well. But once I like got the premise and started understanding more of how it's written, then I didn't have to do that anymore. And wow, you definitely need to read this if you haven't. And now I'm really excited to see the movie. I want to do that in March. And then after I finished reading that, I needed a little bit of a reading break. So the third book that I picked up, and I also needed a book that like wasn't really gonna make me think a whole bunch. I was like, just give me my typical romancy type of book. And so that book that I read, this was Ick Factor by Morgan Elizabeth, and I have read all of the other books that are in this series. I've really enjoyed this series so far. I think the third book in the series I 5-starred. Loved that. The series like follows around a group of friends and they like love getting revenge on people. In this one, the girl is an executive assistant. It's like kind of fun to read books about people and you know like the job that they're doing, especially an assistant. So I really enjoyed those books that I read. Okay, so that was my February. I hope you had a good month as well. If you are a business owner, drop down in the comments. Let me know some things that happened for you in your business. Even if it all wasn't awesome, totally understand that as well. Just like something that you're proud of or something that you're excited to look forward to in March. Once it comes to be time for my March recap, I want to watch this back to be like, okay, Anna, did you actually do the things that you said you were going to do? So I can hold myself accountable. I am very appreciative of you spending a little bit of time with me today, and thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.